Hi, I'm Richard Hughes from the Lavender House restaurant and the Richard Hughes Cookery School, and I'm going to show you one of my favourite dishes, a beautiful dish of pan-fried monkfish with red wine, bacon, wild mushrooms. A really big rustic dish which I hope you're going to try at home. The first thing we're going to do is take this beautiful tail of monkfish, one of my favourite fish. We buy it on the bone, and we're just going to show you how to skin this and fillet this. Very simple. One of the most simple fish to actually prepare. And we're just going to skin this in one piece. I'm going to put a glove on, but we're just going to take it from the top here, like so, and with one foul swoop, we just pull it and pull all of the skin off in one go. Doesn't look particularly appetizing, but that's how easy it is, and we're going to just discard that. And then we're just going to fillet this fish. Monkfish, one of the most simple fish to fillet because there's only one bone that goes down the whole centre of this fish. We're only making one portion, so I don't need all of this fish. We'll keep this and put it back on the menu tonight. But you can see, really simple, big sweeping cuts, just to take this beautiful fillet off, like so. And the beautiful thing about this monkfish is you get a fantastic yield from this. In other words, there's not a lot of wastage with this. And we're just going to trim this up, take this little membrane off, and we're going to cook this straight away. Monkfish, very incredibly popular now. One of the real trendy fish on most restaurants' menus. But for many years, they couldn't actually sell this. It's got an enormous, great big head, which makes it very ugly, so it puts people off from using it. But in the 70s, 80s, this was always sold as scampi. So you might well have had this in a fluorescent crumb in a basket with some chips in the late 70s. So you might have had monkfish, but you've had it as scampi. We're just going to very quickly steak this up into great big, beautiful chunks. Look at this, fantastic white fish. All boneless, and we're going to pan fry that in this nice hot pan. So our fish is virtually all ready on there. Okay, and I'm just going to pop it on there so you can see. Fantastic. Quite expensive now. People are always saying fish is expensive. However, if you've ever seen the conditions these poor fishermen have to work in, you would pay much more money for it, I promise you. So we're just going to move over to our other ingredients now to put this dish together. Very quick, but a classic dish from southwest France. Quite unusual because what we're going to do in this, we're going to put in some really big flavoured ingredients. First of all, we're going to take a little bit of onion and we're just going to dice this up. This is the most popular thing we teach at the cookery school, believe it or not, is how to dice an onion. I show these people all these incredibly difficult skills, and all they want to know is how to dice an onion. This is a great party trick, this is, okay? I did cut myself doing this a couple of weeks ago, and you thought the guys in the kitchen had won the lottery. They were so pleased that I'd cut myself. But thankfully today on camera, we're not going to cut ourselves. So we're going to dice it up nice and fine, like so. Not too much, okay? So a little bit diced onion here. We've got some beautiful wild mushrooms, and we have a little forager who goes around and gets these from Thetford Forest or over at Eldon or all around that way. But you can buy a straightforward wild mushroom mix from the supermarket, and we're going to leave these nice and big, nice and chunky. There's nothing what I would say delicate about this dish. This is a dish, big flavours. So wild mushrooms. And then last but not least, we've got some beautiful smoked bacon, which again is a great flavour, and it's all going to go into this monkfish dish. This monkfish, very odd thing, we call it, in the trade, we call it a meaty fish. That doesn't make a blind bit of sense, does it, a meaty fish? But what that means is that can carry some really big flavours. So let's put this together. I've got my pan nice and hot there, and into my pan, I'm just going to put a little squirt of olive oil, a little touch of butter, and I'm just going to put my monkfish straight into my pan, okay? So always get the pan hot. That is all the battle. You can put it in there, and if you can hear that sizzle, that is what you want. So we're just going to seal our fish off in the pan and get a little bit of colour in this. Then I'm going to pan fry it off. I'm going to take it out, put all my ingredients in to finish it off for this dish. So you can call this monkfish bordelaise, burgundy style, monkfish with red wine, bacon, mushrooms. It all depends on you. Very often there's the same name for a dozen different dishes. Okay, so let's just get some heat on that. Cooks very, very quickly. The fish classes are our most popular classes we do. People are always very, very nervous about cooking fish. I don't know why, because it is the simplest thing to do. And we have a saying in the kitchen that the more expensive the ingredient, the less you have to do to it. So this fish is expensive, but we're just going to pan fry it in some butter and olive oil and put it to one side. So we're not physically going to do too much to the fish itself. It's all about the sauce and the garnish with this. So let's get some nice heat in there, and then we're going to put it to one side and finish the dish off. It smells absolutely beautiful. So the rest of the ingredients, let's just go through this. Some onions, some smoked bacon, some mushrooms. We're going to put in a little bit of parsley, and then, quite unusually, we've got a little bit of meat glaze there, or meat stock. This is just chicken bones which have been roasted down. You can see beautifully gelatinous. We're going to finish it off, and last but not least, we're going to put some red wine in there. I'm going to talk to you about that when I put it in. Okay, so let's just put this to one side. Let's take our fish out, put it to one side. It's not quite cooked, but it is nearly there, because what I want to do now is make my sauce in this pan and then return the fish. So pan is still nice and hot. You can see bubbling away in there. First off, we're going to put our onions and our bacon, and we're going to fry that off. Quite a lot of heat in there, because basically I want to crisp this bacon off a little bit. So let's turn the heat off and fry this off. So monkfish, again, you can just wrap it up in some Parma ham and roast it. As I said, you can deep fry it, you can poach it. We tend to pan fry ours because you can see it's great texture to this, a really firm fish. So let's fry the bacon off and get a little bit of colour onto that. Okay, our wild mushrooms, we haven't chopped them up too much. Okay, we've just left them nice and chunky. There's no point in buying these really expensive mushrooms and then chopping them all up so nobody knows what they've got. If you spent a lot of money on ingredients, you need to show that to your guests. You don't want them to think you're a cheapskate. So you paid some money for it, show it off. This bacon is smelling absolutely beautiful. Okay, so we've got that fried off. Next off, what we're going to do, we're going to pop in some red wine. Great little anecdote about this. You see it all the time on the TV programs. Every program will tell you, or every presenter will tell you, the better the wine you put in the dish, the better the dish comes out. That is absolute nonsense. In our cookery school, unfortunately, you will only hear the truth. So, absolute nonsense. You could get a bottle of Gevrey Chambertin, which costs £180. You can get a Chilean Red for £4. If I put them in a glass, there's no doubts you will know the difference, okay? You might prefer the £4 bottle. It's totally up to you. You will know the difference. However, if I then take that bottle of wine and put in some shallots, some garlic, some mushrooms, some fish, you ain't going to know the difference at all, okay? So just use a very cheap, inexpensive wine and in with the dish. And we're just going to turn the heat right up and boil it away now and try and get some of the alcohol away and just reduce those flavours. This is a real favourite at our sauce classes, because what we're doing here, we're calling reducing it. So we're just boiling it away. All that steam is just water vapour. So in here, two things are going to happen. Number one, the dish is going to get slightly thicker, the sauce is going to get thicker, and more importantly, the flavour is going to get more intense. We're now going to put this together. So into here, we're going to put our wild mushroom selection and just wilt them down. So stir them round. Okay, we want to leave a bit of texture on these. Some people put these mushrooms in at the frying stage. I tend to leave mine at the end, so there's a little bit more texture to them. Okay, and then what we can do is put our fish back in, and we're going to put all the juice and everything back in the dish. like so. As I said, nothing particularly pretty about this dish. This is just one dish of loads and loads of flavour. Next up, we're going to put our meat stock in there as well. I appreciate you perhaps haven't got this at home, but you can buy one of the little lozenges of stock that you just put in and melt in at this stage. So you can see in this dish a huge, great big dish of big, big flavours. That's all I talk about at the cookery school: flavour, flavour, flavour. Presentation is crucial to us, but it's all about what the thing tastes like. So often you have a plate of food that looks beautifully to look at, and in actual fact doesn't taste of much. This is just the opposite. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of chopped parsley to finish it off, and we're going to chop it fairly roughly. Okay, we don't want it fine. We don't want it like a powder. We just want big, as I say, big rustic flavours. We're going to finish that off. Let's just turn this around. Smells absolutely fantastic, and we're going to set about putting this together. All right, nice big white plate. The bigger the plate, the more money you can charge. Okay, that is a restaurant tip for you. Okay, so let's turn this around, and we're going to finish that off last minute with a nice big bunch of parsley. You can see how quick that fish cooks. My chef used to often talk to me and tell me all sorts of things that I never understood. And one of his little chefisms was that the moment you think that fish is cooked, that is the time to take it out. So people always tend to overcook their fish. That, by the time that sauce is hot, that is ready to go. So let's plate this up. As I said, nice big white plate. We're going to put a base in this of a little speciality of the restaurant, a little bit of smoked mashed potato, but you could easily put pasta in there, you could put lentils in there, anything at all. We're going to use a little bit of smoked mash, and we're going to make it very chef-ified here, because we're going to put one of these little scoops in there, in the base, like so. So let's just put it in the base, like so. This is just going to give it a little bit of height, as well as a vehicle for this. Again, this dish is not unlike a classic coq au vin, okay? So again, mashed potato, boiled potato, anything really. So let's plate this up. We're going to put all our great big mushrooms around the outside, okay? Don't be too fussy with this. This is not the sort of dish that you need to spend hours and hours thinking about the presentation. You just need a great big bowl to carry these great big flavours. Let's put our monkfish on the top so we can see exactly what it is. We're using monkfish, but you could quite easily use skate or a great big piece of cod. Any dish that is going to carry these big flavours. Classically in France, you would have this finished off with some snails. Okay, maybe they're not to everybody's taste, particularly not here in the middle of Norfolk. So we're going to use a very, very classic Norfolk ingredient just to top it. We've got some samphire here that we've got from out near Blakeney. We've just blanched it. When we say blanched it, we've just dipped it in some boiling water and taken it out. We put a little bit of salt and pepper, but we're going to take a little of this just to go on the top. That is one big plate of food there. My sort of food, that is. Great big dish. So pan-fried monkfish with wild mushrooms, smoked bacon, samphire, absolutely fantastic. I'm going to dig into that right now, and I hope you're going to try that at home.